legally we can't have a club. We do a lot of private entertaining within our own homes. We endeavour never to offend anybody or cause anybody any trouble. We have one or two outside parties, but these are always kept very, very quiet and, again, secretive.
Why the need for secrecy? Well, first of all, there's fear of ignorance and prejudice, even the fear that people are going to laugh at you. Take the use of the word lesbian.
You don't say it very often for some reason. A lot of homosexuals don't use the word, I think because it's a word which most square people use in a sort of dirty way. And they do, when they say, you can be, well, when I was wearing men's clothes, they would sort of course, call out lesbian, and in a horrible way, which to your own self is sort of you feel so wrong, and so
took away
it just takes your pride away. Yes, yes, yes.
Then there's the fear of losing your job, or of even being stopped from getting a job.
I tried to join the army when I was 18 years old, and there were a group of girls went down to the services to this particular place to be interviewed by a psychiatrist after our medical test, and there were 7 out of the whole group who went upstairs to a room where there was a woman in the room and the psychiatrist as well. The rest of them were going to other people. And at the time I had no feelings about my homosexuality, as far as I didn't think that anything would be held against me because of it. So I went in there, and the psychiatrist said to me, what sort of parties do you like? And of course I said, well, I love parties with lots of girls and singing around the piano and dancing all night, you know, never going to bed. I love to drive cars fast. And he said, have I ever had a boyfriend? I said, no, I've never had a boyfriend. And he said, well, would you like a boyfriend, or would you like to get married? And I said, no, I never want to get married. And of course, all of these questions, I realise now, were to trick me and find out just exactly what I was, whether I was a normal, everyday girl, as they put it in square terms, or whether I was a homosexual. This was the first time in my life that there was ever anything that would, because of my homosexuality, I was sort of not going to be allowed to do this, to join the army. Well, I felt then that perhaps there were going to be many more things that I wasn't able to do because I was a homosexual. And it was a tremendous blow to me.
Is there any cure for homosexuality? No treatment has had sweeping success, but one involves lengthy psychoanalysis, and the other, more radical and controversial, attacks the symptom rather than the cause.
This is one of the forms of so-called learning therapy. These are forms of treatment which have become increasingly prominent in psychiatry in the last 10 years or so. They have been used really for much longer than that. Yeah. This form of treatment involves the use of unpleasant stimuli, which are cued to follow certain stimuli which suggest aspects of homosexuality, such as, in this case, phrases. And the idea is that by more or less punishing all these various aspects of homosexuality which are represented in the patient's mind, you actually weaken the homosexual drive of the patient.
In effect, what you do, you have the patient sitting down, give them an electric shock after they've seen some sort of picture or phrase.
Yes, that's right. In actual fact, we only use, at the moment, we're only using phrases in connection with electric shock, and we use pictures in connection with an injection which produces a feeling of nausea.
A lot of people worry that if homosexuality were openly tolerated, this would lead to widespread social degeneracy.
Yes, well, certainly this is a commonly felt fear about homosexuality, along these lines that homosexuality is some form of degeneration or related to social degeneracy, but I don't think there is any support for this idea. In fact, it is possible that homosexuality is an essential part of human beings, that, it is thrown up regularly. I suppose the basic idea against this is the idea that if homosexuality exists, the people don't reproduce their species, and therefore the species would die out. But of course there are many species which have members which are not reproductive. I suppose in the ants, for example, the reproduction is, and in the bees also, the reproduction is confined to some aspects of the species, the others don't reproduce. And it could be that along with homosexuality go, say, creative traits or traits of non-conformity, which might give the society as a whole more ability to survive and more variation, and therefore a certain amount of homosexuality possibly is of survival value in the community rather than of destructive value. But, you know, this is moving into a very theoretical area.